On Osrc News, Governor Ayedatiwa hails progress in education sector investments, pledges more positive initiatives. Federal government seeks proactive measures in disaster risk management. Enforcement of salary stoppage for striking ASU members imminent. From outside the shores of Nigeria, released Palestinian prisoner recounts starvation, abuse in Israeli jails. Thank you for joining us tonight. My name is Adebimpe Akindele. The Ondo State government says it's committed to youth empowerment and leadership development and remains unwavering. Governor Lucky Ayedatiwa at the grand finale of the inauguration of members of the State Teaching Service Commission at Cocoa Conference Hall in Akure. Ayedatiwa said the quality of teachers directly determines the progress of any society, underscoring the necessity of a robust teaching workforce to build a prosperous future. Government House correspondent Wahaba Koli reports.
The inauguration of the members of the State Teaching Service Commission in Ondo State is another step by the present administration to continue advancing the education sector. Held at the Cocoa Conference Hall in Akure, the event gathered education stakeholders and top government officials, with Governor Ayedatiwa leading the ceremony. The Secretary to the State Government, Dr. Taiwo Fashoranti, highlighted the state's consistent national reputation for educational excellence, noting that the inauguration underscores the administration's dedication to delivering sustainable educational reforms and excellence.
The Teaching Service Commission plays an all-important role in the development of our educational sector. It can be described as a vehicle for driving educational agenda, prioritizing societal reforms and changes that are needed to reposition our educational system in Ondo State.
Governor Ayedatiwa described education as the light that guides the path to progress and the essential bridge between dreams and their realization.
From the very beginning of this administration, we made a solemn commitment to reposition our educational sector not merely as a policy statement, but as a living promise to the children and youth of Ondo State. We recognize, as history and experience have taught us, that no society can rise above the quality of our teachers. A strong teaching force means a strong future. That is why our administration continues to invest deliberately in education and to empower institutions that regulate and support our teachers.
He stated that the inauguration of the Teaching Service Commission Board reflects its administration's commitment to entrusting capable hands with the responsibility to ensure that the aspirations for schools, teachers, and students are realized through effective governance and efficient service delivery.
TESCOM is not just another government board. It is the heart of our public educational system. Its decisions shape the welfare, discipline, and professional growth of our teachers, who in turn shape the minds of our future leaders. Teachers are mind builders. This responsibility is weighty, but it's also noble. I therefore urge you to approach it with humility, fairness, and a deep sense of commitment. You must bring to bear your experience, your wisdom, and your passion for excellence. Our administration has made significant progress in the education sector. We have recruited new generation of teachers, improved school infrastructure, and enhance our monitoring mechanisms across the state. Inaugurate the new board of Ondo State Teaching Service Commission.
Reacting on behalf of the TESCOM board members, the chairman, Oluwadai Sioke, promised that members will live up to the confidence placed in the board and justify their appointments through committed service and effective leadership.
Today's ceremony is not just a celebration of appointments, but a testament to years of dedication, hard work, commitment to excellence in education and public service.
The Ondo State Teaching Service Commission Board comprises full-time members, including Ajani Oladipupo, Titilayo Fayoriju, Ojuolape Aderemi, and Isiaka Usman. Part-time members of the board include the chairman of the All Secondary School Teachers Union, the chairman of the Parent Teachers Association, and representatives from the Ministry of Budget and Economic Planning, the Ministry of Education, Science and Technology, and the Ministry of Finance. Wahab Bankole, Osrc News.
The federal government has directed vice chancellors of federal universities to strictly enforce the no work, no pay policy against the striking members of the Academic Staff Union of Universities. The directive, contained in a circular by the Minister of Education, Dr. Tunji Alausa, was copied to the head of the Civil Service of the Federation, Permanent Secretary of the Education, Pro-Chancellors of all federal universities, Director General of the Budget Office, the Federation, the Accountant General of the Federation, and the Executive Secretary of the National Universities Commission. According to the circular, the Federal Ministry of Education expressed dissatisfaction over reports of continued industrial action by ASU despite repeated calls for dialogue, stressing that government would no longer tolerate non-compliance with extant labor laws. The minister directed all vice-chancellors of federal universities to immediately conduct a roll call and physical head count of all academic staff in their institutions. He also instructed them to submit a comprehensive report indicating staff members who are present and performing their official duties, and those absent or participating in the strike. Alausa further directed that salary payment for the period work stoppage be withheld from those who fail to perform their duties. The federal government has called for increased investment in disaster preparedness and resilience mechanisms to reduce impacts of disasters in the country. The call was made at the 2025 International Day for Disaster Risk Reduction in Abuja. Speaking at the event, Vice President Kashim Shettima noted that it's wiser, cheaper, and more humane to prepare for disasters before they strike than the aftermath. He stated that government is strengthening state and local emergency management agencies through training, technology, and coordination support. Over the years, Nigeria has continued to experience recurring floods, erosion, drought, and other climate-related emergencies that have destroyed farmlands, displaced thousands, and strained public resources. While leaving the federal government side, now it's set to disburse 8.3 billion naira in interest-free loans to 21,000 Nigerians affected by the recent flood disasters in the country. Minister of State for Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction, Yusuf Sununu, made this known in Abuja during a roundtable marking the International Day for Disaster Risk Reduction. He said the initiative aims to cushion the impact of flooding and enhance food security nationwide. The minister further revealed that the federal government, through the National Social Investment Program, has reached over 8.1 million households with more than 300 billion in naira in conditional cash transfers. He also announced plans to empower internally displaced persons through a scheme that guarantees a market for their produce. Well, we'll take a break now, and when we return, FCT Minister Wike opens new chapter for judges living in rented apartments. That's after the break.
Breakfast right, then you need all the nutrients that will hold you tight. Then stay in power, you find it all in peak. Then every move you make picks got you all the way. And the peak goes on.
Power on every morning with our Peak breakfast to make the most of every day. Peak, reach for your peak.
Thank you for rejoining us. For feedback and comments, you can watch us live on our website www.osrc.ng or follow us on Facebook at OSRC TV, and on YouTube you can subscribe to our channel OSRC TV Ondo. And now for the rest of the news. Ondo State government has intensified efforts towards making the girl child responsible for herself and the society. Commissioner for Women Affairs and Social Development, Dr. Shin Osamaye, while encouraging children in Ondo State at a forum organized to commemorate the 2025 International Day of the Girl Child, maintained that the girl child must be equipped with digital technology and literacy skills. Omoriola Hungbeji reports that the Tech a Child Pad a Girl Child initiative was adopted to build the children's confidence towards securing their future.
The International Day of the Girl Child is celebrated globally to promote gender equality, empower young girls, and safeguard their health, education, and leadership potential. To mark the day, the Ondo State government, through the Ministry of Women Affairs, organized the Tech a Girl, Pad a Girl Child initiative with renewed calls for digital inclusion, menstrual hygiene awareness, and leadership preparedness among teenage girls. Commissioner for Women Affairs and Social Development, Dr. Shin Osamaye, declared that the initiative is targeted at building the capacity of young girls to embrace technology and equip them with necessary knowledge and confidence to thrive.
Who rules the world? Yes, girls. Do you know why? We are the future. You are the future. Today we are here, tomorrow it is you that will be here. So you are our future. And it is important to prepare you for that leadership. The theme for this year, the girl that I am, the change that I lead, girls on the front lines of crisis.
She charged the participants to maximize the opportunity, assuring that the administration of Lucky Ayedatiwa will continue to prioritize their needs so they can contribute meaningfully to the development of the state.
As a government, we are committed to providing you with enabling environments, ensuring that there are platforms that enables you and gives you access to opportunities, to equip you with requisite knowledge, to sustain yourself and become better people.
Flagging off the initiative, Commissioner for Education, Science and Technology, Professor Igbekele Ajibefu, emphasized that the Ondo State government is investing in the future of children through quality education.
The girl child has been discriminated against for years, for centuries, and your time has come, and every part of the society is supporting you. And we also want to thank our amiable governor and the beautiful wife for supporting this program to bring the school children together, the girls, for this event.
The chairman, Ondo State Information Technology Agency, SITA, Tomide Akinribido, engaged them on STEM education.
We have to introduce our girls to technology at an early stage, both in the school and through community program. We have to integrate basic computer literacy into the school curricula. I know that we all study science.
Case of years ago, the voice of girls are not heard. It's only the male child that they'll be like, the male child deserves to go to school, not the female child. But I love what our governor, His Excellency Lokorimu Saidatuwa did. He tried to bring back the lost dignity.
And also, men or boys, so to say, they are not to be kept away from the gathering like this. They are also to be kept as part of us in order to be able to know how to relate with females.
About 1,000 students from various secondary schools in the state in attendance went home with packs of sanitary pads and other incentives. Omonola Humbeji, Osrc News.
The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, has pledged to end the era of judges living in rented apartments while also digitizing the operations of the FCT High Courts. Speaking at the flag of official residencies for heads of courts in the FCT, Wike described the initiative as the most important project yet under the current administration. Infrastructure drive. He said the administration will deliver 10 duplexes each for the Court of Appeal and the Federal High Court and 20 for the FCT High Court. The minister stressed that the houses would not revert to government ownership upon the retirement of the beneficiaries. In other news, the nation's election 21 domestic and international organizations to observe the Anambra State governorship election. The development was announced in an advertisement published by the Commission, and the observers are expected to assess the conduct of election and report on its transparency, credibility, and compliance with democratic standards. INEC had earlier confirmed that 2.8 million voters are registered to partake in the election. The Anambra governorship election poll, one of Nigeria's off-cycle elections, is set to take place on Saturday, November in this same year. The Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority has warned domestic airlines against delaying passengers' ticket refunds longer than the official 14-day time frame. Director of Public Affairs and Consumer Protection at NCAA, Michael Achimugo, made the announcement via his X handle. The warning followed reports that some carriers were in the habit of telling passengers that the refunds could take up to 4 weeks. According to him, a 4-week time frame violates Part 19 of the NCAA Regulations 2023, which stipulates that refunds must be completed within 14 days. The agency stated that misleading passengers with longer refund timelines undermines regulatory authority and that it's unfair to consumers. Now to the Middle East Asia. Since the war on Gaza began, Israeli forces have intensified arrests across the occupied West Bank and Gaza Strip. Around 20,000 arrests have been documented in the occupied West Bank, while the number arrested from Gaza remains unknown. Most detainees are reportedly held without charge, and they report ill treatment, starvation, and systemic abuse. Kemi Sola Ojom reports.
He witnessed death several times, not in the war, but inside an Israeli prison. Journalist Ala Rimawi says he is now a skeleton, released a week ago after nearly 2 years. He was held under Israel's administrative detention. No charge, no trial. He says the abuse and lack of food reached unprecedented levels. In October 2023, Allah weighed 97 kg at arrest. Today, 57 kilos.
When I hugged my little girls, they told me, "Dad, you're hurting us." My bones were sticking out, causing them pain.
Since the war began, Israeli authorities cancelled all family visits and escalated assault, which rights groups say amounts to torture. In these 2 years, at least 78 Palestinians were declared dead in Israeli custody. Palestinians say the real number is higher and is caused by deliberate starvation and lack of medical attention.
I was told my cellmate Farouk needed me. He gathered some energy to ask me to tell his daughter he loved her. I told him, "You'll survive." Upon my release, I learned that he has passed away. I saw people faint, collapse, and die, and I couldn't do anything to help.
Prisons has always been brutal, Allah says, but before the war, there was a trace of life, a glimmer of hope for release. But now, those dreams are being crushed. The Rum family in Ramallah awaits anxiously, now more than ever, hoping for good news. 2 brothers, Jihad and Ahmed, are expected to be released in the current prisoner swap 22 years after their arrest. Nida Rhyme visited one of her brothers 2 weeks before the war started, then could not see them. During this time, the sister and mother both passed away, and the brothers still do not know.
We only know their news from the released prisoners. We were in great fear every time we hear the news that someone passed away in Israeli jails. We missed a whole lifetime without them.
For those serving long sentences and lifetimes, families say prisoner swaps are the only hope of reunion, and as Israelis prepare to receive the last remaining captives in Gaza, families of more than 11,000 Palestinian prisoners fear their wait will never end. Kemisola Ojomo, Osrc News.
Still from the foreign scene, a renegade military unit in Madagascar has announced that it will take control of the armed forces, intensifying a crisis after the elite soldiers who once helped bring the current president to power switched sides to join anti-government protesters. Officers from the administrative and technical contingent said in a video message that henceforth all orders of the Malagasy army, whether land, air, or naval, will originate from CAPSAT headquarters. The declaration came hours after the presidency accused unnamed forces of attempting to overthrow President Andry Rajoelina. The crisis marks the gravest threat to Rajoelina's rule since disputed 2023 re-election with the very soldiers who installed him through a 2009 coup now turning against him.
From now on, all orders of the Malagasy Army, whether land, air, or the Navy, will originate from CAPSAT headquarters. Furthermore, we invite the Malagasy people and all of those in the General Staff to work together to protect the people and the property for the good of all and for the homeland.
We are sure that our victory is already here. The president will not be our president anymore after a few moments. We just give him one day to take decision, to leave.
This intervention yesterday, which we've just heard about, where a branch, an elite corps of the army came in support of the youth protesters, basically dissipated the gendarmes, the military police, and allowed the protesters for the first time into the city centre, and that's where they've been gathering yesterday and today and calling once again for President Rajoelina to resign. What happens next is uncertain. There will certainly be some jostling amongst leading political and military figures to lead the transition process. That's clear. As far as the Gen Z protesters who've set this ball rolling are concerned, it may be that their egalitarian structure now plays against them. Because in order to have political penetration, to get a seat at those discussions for setting out the roadmap for Madagascar's future, they're going to probably need to appoint leaders and spokespeople, which is what they've not done before. And they're going from social human rights protests into the murky and dirty world of political negotiations. And for that, you need to be part of a coalition. And that's where they're going to have to fight for their right to still be part of this process.
With the Madagascar story, we end this news on this belt. And before we go, we take another look at some of the major stories. Ondo State Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa has reaffirmed commitment to revitalizing the education sector, as the quality of teachers directly determines the progress of any society. The federal government has called for increased investment in disaster preparedness and resilience mechanisms to reduce the impacts of natural disasters in the country. We also told you in the course of this news that on a different note, the federal government has directed all vice chancellors of federal universities to enforce the no work, no pay policy against striking members of ASU. And from the foreign scene, released Palestine prisoner has described Israeli treatment during their captivity as inhumane. Thank you for watching the news. My name is Adebimpe Akindele. Good evening.